Hello and welcome back. Now, fair warning, this video is probably going to be a little long, so buckle up. I will try to put timestamps in the description down below so you can jump to whatever guitar you're more interested in. But this is a video I had actually intended to make on this channel, the Dad Riffs channel, some time ago. But the winter season, which we're currently in, is my busy season for the main channel. I review a lot of boots, a lot of jeans, a lot of jackets, flannels, sweatshirts. So I'm constantly getting product in, and on top of my day job and my family life, I just didn't have the time to put into this channel right now. It's more of a summer thing, I guess, because the summer slump. I don't review nearly as many summer clothes as I do winter clothes, so I have more time in the summer. So I was putting this video off, but recently I've been fielding a lot of questions on the main channel about my guitar collection. So I threw up a poll if anyone would actually be interested in a video kind of just showcasing my collection and possibly smaller breakout videos of each of the guitars, telling a little bit more about them, the story behind them or whatnot, and maybe some playing of each of the guitars. The poll's pretty close. The last time I checked, I think it was like down to 52%, but it was hanging like 54, 56% for the video for a while. But because it was close, most of the people are there for clothing, because that's mostly what I focus on the main channel. So I figured I would do it here and tag the main channel. So if you're interested, you can see it there. So what I'm going to attempt to do is try to keep this in chronological order. It's going to be hard. I've now been playing. I'm nearly 45. I got my first guitar, which we'll go over. It's that red Ibanez covered in stickers over there. When I was, I don't know, 14 or 15, so around 94, 95, something like that. It was before I drove, because I used to I skateboarded downtown to get that guitar. We'll get into that though. But so if you are not interested in a particular guitar, down below there will be chapters that will jump around. I'll put what the guitar, the year, and the guitar in each. So if you're interested to see that particular guitar, you could jump around, because it's probably going to be pretty long. It's probably even going to take me more than one sitting. So if you see me changing clothes, that's the reason. I will intentionally throw on a hoodie so I can maybe keep it consistent. I'll just throw the same hoodie back on. But instead of me rambling on with an intro, let's start with guitar number one. So right here, guitar number one, I showed this in my intro video on this channel. This is an Ibanez RX20. They still make these, although they're the RG series now, but this I bought 94, 95. I don't know how to date these. It's an Indonesian made or Korean made guitar. I'm sure I can probably get a serial number date somehow, but yeah, this is the first guitar that I ever bought. And I bought this by essentially not eating lunch for months. I had a paper out, but all of that money went into skateboards, and my mom and dad limited how much money they gave me, so I didn't just blow it on nonsense. So they would give me lunch money, and I would save that lunch money, and I'd skateboard down to the pawn shop, and I would pay on this every 2 weeks. I'd come down, I'd put like, 25 or 40 bucks on it. I think I paid somewhere around $150, $160 for this, which I got ripped off. These were like $175, $190 brand new, which there was literally a guitar store right next to the pawn shop that sold Ibanez, and I could have easily walked in there and got the exact same guitar brand new for a few dollars more. But I mean, it wouldn't have mattered. I didn't know any difference, and that was my first guitar. At this point, I don't think it works. I think the pickups work, but the truss rod, you turn it, it just spins. It doesn't actually do anything. So it's really hard to intonate this guitar, and it's just wall art at this point, but it's my very first 6-string, so I'm not going to get rid of it for that exact reason, because it is my very first guitar. Next up, we have a Fender DG11. Now, I got this in 98 or 99. The serial number reads 9908. So, I mean, that can go either way. This could be a 99 or 98. I think I got this in 1998. I'm pretty sure I got this before I graduated high school. I graduated in 1999. And this would have been a collaborative effort, my Christmas present, I believe, from my ex-girlfriend in high school. I paid for part of it. I would have been working at that time, but making probably like $5.25 an hour, so I wouldn't have had a lot of money. So she would have given me some money for this, some money towards this for Christmas, and then I would have put the rest in. And this is definitely my very first acoustic guitar. I mean, it sounds terrible. I think the only real wood is probably the bracing on this thing, but again, stickers, punk rock. I mean, There's a JG on that Ibanez because Billy Joe Armstrong, because Green Day is my favorite band. They're really what got me into music. But I will say the Blink-182 Damn It riff is what made me finally say, yeah, I gotta learn how to play guitar. And that might have been like the first song or first riff that I ever learned how to play was Damn It. But that's why these early ones have stickers on them. Now the next guitar, I'm gonna try to get a picture of, because I actually sold it to my friend and I'm going to be heading over his house in a little while here. It would have been a 1999 Lake Placid Blue Powerhouse Stratocaster. It came with a 10 dB boost. I don't remember, it was a battery. It was a 9-volt battery that was actually, if I remember correctly, I can look. I don't think there's a battery panel. I think the 9-volt battery was underneath the pickguard, or maybe there was a panel. I don't remember offhand. I'll try to get a picture of it, but that was my first Strat, and that I've always loved Stratocasters. And I sold it to him stupidly. I needed money. I think at the time I was working for the state and not making a lot of money, and I wasn't playing it. I wasn't playing really anything, so I sold it to him for a couple of bucks. It was also my graduation present from high school, so I believe it is a 1999 Mexican-made it's definitely Lake Placid Blue Powerhouse Stratocaster. I did try to buy it back from him, but he refuses to let it go. But he is aware that if he ever wants to let go of it, it comes back to me. It does not get sold anywhere else. So hopefully one day I will have it back in my collection. Next up, we have my 2003 Gibson Les Paul Custom. Now, I talked about this in my video about my dream guitars. This is one of my dream guitars. This is also the model, not the particular guitar, but the model that actually got me into Les Pauls. I was always a Strat guy. I still love Strats. They're still, I actually only have two. You'll see the other ones shortly. But I liked Les Pauls, but until I saw the Alpine White Custom, I didn't love Les Pauls. Now I do. Now I love them, and now I have several. I probably have more Les Pauls than Strats at this point, but I saw this. There was actually, oddly enough, when I dropped my daughter off at his house last night, we were talking about this music store that used to be around. I did not buy this there, but I think I even talked about this again in the Dream Guitars video, where I walked in and he had one of these hanging on the wall. And I was like, okay, how much for the white Les Paul? And I knew it was well out of my price range. She's, oh, that's not for sale. That's my personal guitar. And it was one of these. It was a Alpine White Gibson Les Paul Custom. And I fell in love with it. I love the Alpine White, the block inlays, the diamond on the headstock. I just saw it and I was like, that's a thing of beauty. Turned to a few years later, I was in college. I was home for the weekend and I went to a different music store to buy some strings. And this is the most expensive pack of strings I ever bought, but probably the most important pack of strings I ever bought, because I walked in and this was hanging on the wall and I played it. I loved it. I got a great deal on it and I told him not to sell it. I will be back shortly. And I ran home. I got some cash and my debit card and I came back and I came home with this. And this is a forever guitar. This is something I'm never going to sell. Something I never thought I would own, but so grateful that I have this guitar. Next up, we have a 2004 Gibson Les Paul Jr. Now, this goes back again to Green Day. This was around the time Billy Joe Armstrong started playing juniors, and I had already had the Custom at that point, and I love it. I mean, it's a flat top, P90. This guitar made me love P90s, and I got a hell of a deal on this thing as well. I think I bought this from Music 123. Don't think they're around anymore, but at the time, I think these were only like between $650 and $800, and there was a sale going on. These came with a gig bag back then, and there was a sale going on that if you bought it from them, it was like $600, and you got a free hard shell case. So I bought it, and when I bought it, they apparently were out of stock in the hard shell cases, so it was supposed to ship separately at a later date. Well, lo and behold, the guitar showed up inside a hard shell case with the gig bag inside the box, and then 2 weeks later a second hard shell case showed up. So I got this guitar for $600. I got 2 hard shell cases and a Gibson gig bag, which are the best gig bags I have ever seen. I've actually bought a second one because I loved them so much. I saw one on eBay for a steal and I bought it. So I actually have 2 Gibson gig bags, one of which is from 2004. It's the best gig bag. And I played the hell out of this. I did sand the neck down because it was super, super sticky. So I took some like 600 grit and I sanded that down. It's really smooth now. I did stupidly almost sell this to the exact same friend I keep talking about. Now this P90 is quite hot, and it wasn't necessarily working out for him, but I was giving him the best friend for 30-year deal, which was essentially I was going to sell him this guitar for what I paid for it, which if you want to buy it, I'm not selling it, and B, you're not going to get that deal. These are like $2,000 now, I think, maybe more, $2,200, $2,300 for a junior. And I was just, I've known him forever. Our daughters are best friends, whatever. But it was a little too hot for him, and he had it. And even though I hadn't played it in forever, I couldn't do it. I couldn't sell it. And I got it back from him. He wasn't necessary. He was going to buy it because the price was right. I mean, I was giving him a hell of a deal. He probably would not have played it that much, but he almost bought it off me. And that's why the strap's on it, because I've had it back now for months, and I've played it here or there, but I picked it up like a day or two ago, and I've not been able to put this guitar down. So I'm very happy that I didn't sell this guitar to my buddy, because I love this thing. I bought it brand new in 2004. It's now 2026, so this thing is 22 years old, and I've had it its entire lifespan. Also a 2004 guitar. This is a Taylor 310 CE. I bought this a little bit later in the year. I was actually on a journey for a new acoustic guitar. I had, at the time, a Martin D15. I love that guitar, absolutely adored it, wish I didn't sell it, sold it to a different really good friend. He did offer to sell that back to me, but at the time I was unemployed, so I could not afford it. But I had that, and I wanted something with electronics. So I was looking for a Gibson Songwriter Deluxe, and I played 30 or 40 of them. And the only one that I played that I loved that didn't have electronics was a vintage one that at the time was actually a really good deal. I think it was like $4 or $5,000, but it was well out of my price range. And the street in Scranton that I worked on, down the street was a guitar store, and I walked in and they sold Taylor, and I never even thought about them. Like, I knew they existed. They sold Taylor and Alvarez, and I usually would go in and tinker out the Alvarez guitars, but I never gave Taylor a shot. And I walked in and I picked this thing up off the wall, and it just felt great. It felt amazing. I had them hold it for me. I came back with a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier, and I traded a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier head for this Taylor, probably some cash on my end, for this Taylor. I think it was like $1,300 or $1,400 when I bought it. I probably have the hang tags. I did talk about this in my Dream Guitars video, but I did not have it at the time. This had the ES1 system in it because it's a 2004. It actually had the ES1 with the AA battery in it, which was like really, really old, but the preamp died in this, and because this is the ES2 with 9-volt batteries, they didn't make parts for it, so I had to send this all the way back to California. So Taylor they dressed the frets, they reset the neck, swapped out all the pickups and stuff, so I was gone for a couple of months, but I now have it back, and this is probably my favorite guitar of everything that I own would be this Taylor. It's nothing special. It's a Taylor 310, but I absolutely love this guitar. It just feels great, it plays great, it sounds great, and I love it. This probably has some of the most play out of all of my guitars, and like all of us do, if you play guitar, you go through like seasons more or less, like where I will favor something as my main guitar for sometimes a couple months, a couple weeks, sometimes a couple of years, but I love this thing and I always play this, so I always come back to this. And we do have, well, you could see a Taylor, what are they, the mini Martin LX1s, and there's a resonator over there. We're going to get into them next, but I also have a D28, and this is the acoustic that I grabbed. I love this guitar, absolutely adore it, and very happy that I got it back from Taylor, and it plays just as good as it did the very first time I picked it up. Now this is where we start getting a little bit muddy with the collection. Now this is a Rouge Resonator. Rouge might still be, musicians' friends, in-house brand. So this was a gift, I believe a Christmas present from my wife at the time, maybe just girlfriend, maybe not even fiance. I don't remember exactly what year I got this. This and the Little Martin, they're in there somewhere, mid-2000s, maybe 05 to maybe 2010-ish. But this was, again, it was a gift from my, I think maybe fiance at the time, and I just like it. I don't play it a lot. It's still quite dusty. It doesn't really come off the wall. It's nowhere near in tune, but it was just something I wanted. It was cool. It was cheap too. I think it was certainly sub $200. I don't know if that would have been like 150, 180, something like that, but I mean, it's nice enough. It sounds okay when it's in tune. The action's quite high on it, but it's a fun little thing to play and noodle around on, and it's got a cool sound to it when it's in tune again. But yeah, I like it enough. It's not something that I gravitate towards unless I'm kind of just screwing around, but yeah, it was fun. It was a good little gift, something that I was very happy to get for Christmas. And that brings us to our next guitar, which was also a gift from my wife. At that time, I believe, at least fiance. This is a little Martin LX1. This is one has the real spruce top on it. So it's an HPL back and sides. But I wanted a travel guitar. I did used to take a lot of road trips with my dad, and I'd always take that DG11, and it was big. So I wanted something a little bit smaller, because even though I was older and I wasn't living at home anymore, I would still usually take a road trip with my dad. We used to do a lot of hiking and stuff. So we'd actually take like a week or two road trip every year. We'd go out west. We'd do like whitewater rafting. We'd hike the Grand Canyon. We'd go to Yellowstone. My dad's big on national parks. So we usually take a nice road trip, and I wanted a travel guitar. And this thing's great. I actually play this probably quite a bit. Usually when my daughter wants to noodle around with something, I'll grab this because it's off the wall. It's probably not in tune now because it's winter and nothing stays in tune for more than about 30 seconds anymore. But yeah, I like this. Does need a string change. But this was another gift. Again, a little muddy on when this came into my life. Mid-2000s area to late 2000s, somewhere in around there. Now, this one I know exactly when I got it. This is a 2006 Sonic Blue Fender Highway 1. This actually has the 60, can you see it? It's got the 60-year anniversary medallion on the back. Bought this one brand new. This was something I wanted when these came out. At least I think the earlier ones had the pre-CBS headstock, but this is the fat CBS 70s era headstock because I love it. I love Strats, but I prefer fat headstocks. So when I saw these, and these were like $625, $650 brand new back then, for an American-made Stratocaster with nitrocellulose paint. Satin finishes, though. It's a light satin. It's definitely buffed up from play. Like, this was a #1 for a very, very long time. I did mod this a little bit. I put a mint green pickguard on there, and I actually put a JB Jr. in the bridge because I was playing this as my #1, and my bandmate was playing, he has a Wolfgang, and I couldn't cut through. This came with Fender Cobalt pickups. I still have the original pickup, and they sounded good enough. I didn't have any issues with the way it actually sounded, but I couldn't cut through. I just wasn't loud enough, so I put the JB in the bridge just so I can be a little bit louder, because I've had this same pickup in several Strats over the years, and I really like the JB Jr. I think it sounds pretty good. Or no, I'm sorry, this one's the Hot Rails. This is the Fender Hot Rails, or the Seymour Duncan Hot Rails guitar or pickup. But I've had JB Juniors and Hot Rails in a couple different Strats over the years. I've had a lot of Strats. I think I've had probably at this point in my life 25 different Strats. I currently only own 2, but this was one of my 2 pickups of choice to put in single coil Strats. So I put that in, like the way it sounds, cuts through, but this was, and probably still is, one of my go-to guitars, really, until I got that pink Tele. Love that pink Tele. That's a little bit later. We didn't get there yet, but that's why this one's on the wall, because this was a quick grab. I tried out for a couple bands. This was always a guitar I brought. I don't know, I just love it. Just feels good, feels like home. Love this guitar, love the fat headstock. So picked this up, brand new, 2006. So this is now 20 years old. Now we're going to get a little bit into the weeds again, what guitar came first, but this is a 2007 Gibson ES 335 in the satin finish. Now, I will say, I do really like the satin finish. The neck buffed out, you can see that, yeah, the neck's got a nice sheen to it, but I think I prefer the satin finish. Now, this was cheaper. It wasn't cheap by any means, but it was like $400 cheaper than the regular ES 335s at the time. And I didn't necessarily get this because it was cheaper. It just sounded better. This was another one I was on the hunt for, a cherry red 335, and I played a bunch of them, and they all sounded good enough, but this one it just felt and sounded great. I think it was because the satin neck, now again, not satin anymore, the neck just felt great, and I like the overall look of the satin finish. Now, I do love a historic 335. That would be nice, but they're at the time like $5,000. I don't even know what they go for these days, but you know, I played this and I walked out of the store with it. I wanted a 335. Another one, basically everything you see here that I still own would have been a main guitar at some point. So I might say this was a main guitar for a while, because that's why I still have all of these in the collection, because at one point these were all main guitars that I did not want to part with. But love this thing. A couple of my friends have some other 335s that I've played, and they all sound and feel great, but I still love mine. I love my Satin 335. It's just like home. Love this thing. And I will say I gotta show you this. I did upgrade the case too, because I love these. It's the only one I still have, but this is the vintage 90s Gibson case that had the pink satin flap and the satin fuzz. This guitar came with, funnily enough, I don't know why, a custom shop case. Same exact case, or the TLK, Canadian made, exact same case, except it said Gibson Custom Shop decal on it. So I bought that because those were a steal of a deal. Well, this one was a steal of a deal probably because no one wants a 335. The Les Paul ones were really expensive. I want to say they were like $250, $350 to buy just the case back then. And I got this one for like, I don't know, I think $150 shipped. And I sold my black Toltecs for more than I paid for the vintage 90s one with the satin flap, because it said vintage, or it said Gibson Custom Shop on it. It's not a custom shop guitar. This is a standard. It's a 2007. So at that point, custom shops would have the CS. That's when the 2004 is when Gibson did the CS. So my actual Les Paul Custom was made in the American line, which is where this is made. But in 2004, the custom shops would have been put into the Gibson Custom Shop line. So this is not a CS guitar. There's no CS in the headstock. This is just a standard American line. It just, for some reason, shipped in that case. So I got more money for it. It's the same exact case. It's just the screen printed decal that was on it. But I ended up basically getting a free vintage pink or brown Toltecs with the pink lining and the pink satin flap case. So I made out on that deal really well. And now we're staying in the weeds because I don't remember if I got this before or after that 335. But this is another one I talked about in my Dream Guitar video. This is a 1976 Fender Stratocaster. Vintage guitar, vintage Strat, see the big fat headstock. This is my first vintage guitar, player's grade. It does not have the original pickguard or pickups in it. It would have had a black pickguard with whatever they put in the 70s. This has a set of DiMarzios that actually sound pretty good. It does have the original selector switch tip though. That's black. Would have all been black plastics on this, but I love this guitar. This was something I had not intended to buy. Going back to my same friend that I sold that Strat to, and that my daughter's currently at his house. He was at this guitar store that we frequented, and he came to the store. We all worked together, and he was like, "Jeff, you're gonna hate me, but you're gonna love me. There's a 76 Strat at Wade's," and I came home with the 76 Strat. This was like, other than the custom, my dream guitar. So I already had one of them, and I probably was lusting over this before I got the custom because, again, I was always a Strat guy. And I love this thing. I mean, it's got lots of finish checking on it. It's poly finish too, and it checked real good. But it's just player grade all the way. Something's actually rattling around in there, so it still works. It sounds fine, but something's rattling around in there. Don't know what that is. Gonna have to take it apart eventually and look into it. But yeah, this was something that I always wanted, and it was a surprise. I got this for I think like $1,200, and I have the original case for it and everything. But absolutely love this thing. Bullet truss rod, fat headstock. First vintage guitar. I only have two, so it's not like I have a lot of them. I have two vintage guitars, but this was the first one. And so ecstatic that I actually have this in my possession. Now next up we have what is not my first parts guitar, but it is the first guitar that I refinished, and you can probably see in the light it is not a good paint job. It did not age well. I will say initially it did look pretty good, but it did not age well, nor did I do a very good job with it. But this is, what is this, a 2006? It's a 2006 Mexican Telecaster that started its life as, what do they call it? Midnight Navy, I believe, which is essentially a purple color. But I did this in a nitro Sherwood green. I routed out the bridge for a P90. This has a Lindy Fralin set of P90s in bridge pickups. It originally had a B5 Bigsby on it. Well, it didn't originally. I had one installed. That I didn't do. I had a B5 Bigsby installed in it. It's got white or cream amp knobs, Fender amp knobs, chicken head amp knobs, different pickup selector. But yeah, I refinished this in the dead of summer upstairs in the Army Navy store that I used to work at and run. It was probably about 4,010 degrees and about 8,000% humidity, which is, I'm sure, why the paint job did not stand up to the test of time. But this was the first Telecaster that I kept. I've had a couple of Teles over the years, but I always sold them all. I never liked Teles. I didn't like playing them. I liked the way they looked, but I didn't like the way they looked on me. But I got this, and I played the hell out of it for a long time, and then I realized I didn't like the Bigsby, so I popped the Bigsby off, and you could probably even see there's a hole there, right there, where it was drilled for the Bigsby. But yeah, I didn't fill any of the holes. I just essentially threw another Tele bridge right back on it, and intunated it, and it played and sounds great. Again, a lot of these probably need to set up because it's been really cold. It's dead of winter here, but I haven't been playing this one as much because I've been favoring that pink Tele. But yeah, this one I couldn't really sell if I wanted to. It's worthless. The only thing money I can get is probably for the neck and maybe the Lindy Fralin set of pickups. But at this point, I bought this used. I didn't buy this new. I bought this at a local music go-round. So I was at least the second owner of it. But I got this probably, it's 2006, so it wasn't that old when I got it, so I probably was the second owner. But I used a heat gun, peeled off all the paint, and sprayed it. And I think later on that year is when we closed the store down. So this had to have been painted around probably either summer 2006 or summer 2007, because we closed that store in 2007. And this being a 2006 guitar, the absolute earliest I could have done anything, and I know it was hot, so it was definitely summer, was summer 2006. But I want to lean towards summer 2007 is when I started to create this thing, and then it aged and changed over the years, but I still love it. I love this neck pickup. It sounds great. If I'm playing like Johnny Cash, this is the guitar I'm grabbing, because it just to play Folsom Prison Blues, it just sounds amazing on this guitar to me. And yeah, first Tele I ever kept, and this is what got me into Teles. I picked this thing up not too long ago, and I couldn't put this down, which is why when I decided to do a project guitar, I got another Tele. I was originally going to do a Strat, but I had been playing this quite a bit, and I was like, you know what? I like Teles now. My tastes have certainly changed. I like the way they look on me. I like the way they feel in my hands, and I really did get lucky with that pink one because that neck is amazing on it. But yeah, first Tele that I kept over the years, and very happy that I did. And then we have my Martin D28. Now this one I actually bought when I didn't even have a job. At the end of 2009, I got laid off, which coincidentally was like 2 weeks after I proposed to my now wife. I lost my job, and our lease was about to run out in our apartment. If you're unaware, I do live in Pennsylvania, northeastern Pennsylvania, Scranton area to be exact. But she was working at the time down by Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, which is a little outside of the Allentown area. And we decided, well, you know, instead of her driving an hour to this job that she just got, we can just move down there. There's maybe more job opportunities. Allentown is a bigger city. I had a better opportunity to get maybe a job down in Allentown or even in Philadelphia, because we were an hour close to Philadelphia at the time. So we moved down kind of by the Jim Thorpe area because she was working at a hospital right down there. And Martin Guitar, Nazareth, Pennsylvania, not terribly far from where we were living, so we actually did the Martin Guitar tour a couple of times. And we came out of the tour the one time, and they were pushing hard and heavy for the Martin HPLs. They had just come out with the HPLs, the hard ply laminate guitars, and the tour guide had said something along the lines of, if you want a real wood Martin, you better get one soon, because real wood guitars, they're not going to be around for that much longer. Now, this was... we've owned this house. We moved from there into this house 16 years, so it was about 16, 17 years ago. You can obviously get real wood guitars anywhere. You can get them on Amazon, but that's all my wife needed here, because we got done with that tour, and she looked at me and she said, do you have a real wood Martin? And I did not. I did say I had a D15 at one point, but I had sold that to my buddy, so I no longer had one because I was playing that Taylor all the time. So she said, you need to get one before you can't. And as a guitar player, that's all we need to hear, is that our significant other tells us we need to get another guitar. So I ended up with a D18. I did sell a probably early to mid 2000s Fender 62 AVRI Jaguar to buy this. So I sold the Jaguar to some rich kid out of Philly. His dad was a doctor, came up and just gave me basically a fistful of cash. And then I just went to the guitar store and I bought this. But yeah, I didn't have a job, and I basically traded. I sold, and then I used the money for this, which I believe was an NOS. I think this is a 2000. I would have gotten this in early 2010. I would have got this because I started working again for the state of Pennsylvania in July of 2010, and I got this while I was laid off. So it would have been sometime in the springtime I got this. So this, I think, is a 2007, and I got it in 2010. So it was NOS. No one bought it. It was still at the guitar store. It was just hanging on the wall. And then I got this. And then I had a dry spell for a very long period of time. So I guess dry spell might be the wrong term to use, because I did actually have quite a bit of guitars from probably around the 2010 to around the 2013, 2014 timeframe when I picked up this 78 Deluxe. But at the time, I was doing winter projects. I would get something, I would refinish it, and I'd either sell it or trade it up. I had like Gibson Les Paul Special Faded that someone relicked, so I completely removed like 99% of the finish. I sanded it. Was a really nice mahogany body, so I stained that like a dark mahogany. It was beautiful. I traded up. I had like a 98 American Fender Standard Strat that was really nice, and I traded up to an 88, I think, Gibson Flying V, something like that, late 80s Flying V, which I wish I kept, but the Flying V wasn't necessary for me. I wanted a white one. It was a black one. Didn't really play it. The case was big. It was bulky. I stupidly sold it, probably to go on vacation somewhere. But then, in about 2013, 2014, I got this 78 Deluxe. I bought this from Chicago Music Exchange. It is totally player's grade. It is beat. This is a non-original pickguard. I do have the original case. Got a broken latch. But yeah, I wanted a Deluxe so bad. I wanted a gold top, but even then, I think I got this for like $2,200, $2,400. Gold top then was $5,000, $6,000. I think they're like $10,000, $12,000 now. But I wanted... I like P90s because that Junior that I have, and my original goal was to put P90s in this thing. I know. I didn't do it because these are the original pickups, and I couldn't bring myself to take out the original pickups from this guitar. Had it had non-original pickups, I wouldn't have had a problem. I would have swapped them out, but I was chasing that Mike Ness look and tone. I was going to put his Seymour Duncan P90s in here, but ultimately I didn't do that. The mini hums, they sound good enough. I don't play this guitar nearly as much as I should, and this is my only other vintage guitar, and again, totally player's grade, but I love it. Almost sold it. Glad I didn't, because I will never be able to get another 70s Deluxe Gibson Les Paul. And then we go back into that quote-unquote dry spell area where I didn't really acquire anything, at least nothing that I kept. Did a couple winter projects here or there, but in the 2018 area, we had a kid, our first one, and I most certainly wasn't spending anything on anything that I couldn't afford, like guitars and the stuff of the like. So this year, well, I guess last year, 2025, is when it's currently 2026. That's when things kind of, the obsession kicked back in, and it started with this. This is a 2015 Mexican Telecaster. It is still sunburst underneath this. I did not completely remove the finish. I sanded. I had the whole series. This is the guitar. I don't think I ever finished it off or I built it because I didn't intend on putting it together the day I did. I just, I came up, I was putzing around, I was cleaning up, and I was like, well, I could do this, I could do that, just to kind of clean up around here, and I ended up just putting the guitar together. And I love this thing. I absolutely love this thing. It needs a little work now. The arid winter has really given me some, there's some spurs on the ends of the frets now because it's just super dry, so I don't want to do too much to it now to see what it's going to feel like in the spring once the humidity kicks back in. But I love this thing. It's not finished beautifully. I mean, you could probably even tell. It looks a little dark in the room right now because it was the shell pink was blowing out the white balance on the camera. But yeah, refinished this nitro shell pink. What I did was I sanded down the top layer of poly clear to the sunburst. Now there's probably still a little poly on there because I didn't want to go through the sunburst. My hope with this is to play this enough that eventually I wear away the finish and you start to see some of the sunburst come through. Inspiration for this would actually be the Joe Strummer Telecaster. And I intend to play a lot more electric guitar. I do sitting directly into the camera. I have a Positive Grid Spark 2, because other than that, my only other amp is in mid to early 2000s Fender Hot Rod Deluxe, and it's a 40-watt tube, and it's even at 1, it's still loud, and it doesn't sound great unless you crank it up to at least 3 or 4. So I didn't really play electric. I mostly played that Taylor, just because it was just too loud to play in the house, especially upstairs. My daughter would complain, couldn't do anything while, you know, she's downstairs watching TV, but I got the Positive Grid. So I could plug the Spark 2 in, I could play at low volume, I could play with headphones, I could run it directly into my computer and record anything. So I've been playing a lot more electric, and now that this is done, I hope to be playing a lot more. I want to try to play at least once a month with some friends, just get together and drink some beers and play some guitar. And this has been my #1 since I built it and put it back together. I absolutely love this thing. It just feels great. I love the neck on this. It's got a really great shape. I like more like fat, like 50s Les Paul style necks. My custom's got a fat 50s neck on it, but I love the feel of this neck. It's nice, it's thick, it's fat, and until I forced myself to actually play that Junior the past couple days, I wasn't picking up anything but this guitar. I just absolutely love it. Even though the paint isn't the best, I love the shell pink. I love the way it looks, and I can't wait for it to start maybe getting a couple finish checking and maybe hopefully wear through a little bit of this nitro paint on it and see a little bit of that sunburst popping through. So that is the goal. And that brings us into our next 2 guitars, which is where we are currently at in this time, and we're not doing any cuts because you can see, I think you could see them all from here. You can, at least the third one you can kind of see. Directly after I got, like right after I picked that up, I bought that used from a guy on Facebook Marketplace, but I got a Player 2 Fender Jazzmaster. Now, I bought and sold, as I said, that 62 AVRI Jaguar, which I loved. It looked great, but it didn't have the sound I was going for. I should have bought a Jazzmaster. And at some point, one of the guitars I bought and stupidly sold was a Squier J Mascis Jazzmaster, and I absolutely loved that guitar. That was something that was great. Prior to that, because I will say, in the early 2000s and late 90s, Squiers were trash. The Affinity series were absolute garbage. You couldn't give those things away. But I went into a music store to ask him if he had a box, because I sold a Strat on Reverb, and he had a J Mascis, and I played it, and it sounded awesome, like amazing. And if you heard that sound, that was my stomach. I'm getting a little hungry. It's lunchtime. Anyway, it was great, and I bought it. Didn't mean to. So basically, the money I got on the Strat, I ended up buying a J Mascis, and then I wasn't really playing it because, again, Strat guy. Someone had listed an ISO for one, and I sold it stupidly for pretty cheap because they're way more expensive now than they were then, but I didn't have a Jazzmaster in my life, and I wanted one. And I'm not one for red Fender guitars, but this, like, coral red, it's not like... It's different. It's got like a more of an orange vibe to it than like a Dakota red or a Fiesta red. So I really like this color, and I picked it up. I don't play it as much, again, because I can't not pick up that Tele. But this thing sounds great. It feels great. I really like it. And even though I, for years, wished that I bought the AVRI Jazzmaster at the time instead of the Jaguar, had I done that, I would not have a Martin D28. Again, play the Taylor more than I play the Martin, but I'm happy that I have that Martin D28 because it's a Martin D28. You know, if you play, when I played a mostly acoustic guitar for a very long time, you need a Martin D28. It's like the iconic Dreadnought guitar. So had I had a 60, or I don't remember what year the AVRI Jazzmasters were back then, I would not have had the Martin, and I wouldn't have this Player 2 right now because I may or may not have had the AVRI Jazzmaster from way back when. But anyway, this came right after we got that Tele. I think I bought this, I bought this before I finished the project. So I got the itch to play something new, and I was still building the Tele. So I bought this. I got this on Reverb. I forget where I bought it from. It was a shop in Brooklyn. So I got it semi-local, if you will, because I'm pretty much 2 hours from New York City and 2 hours from Philadelphia. So I got this from a shop in Brooklyn, although I think it's shipped from Delaware. Anyway, pick this up. Sounds great, plays great. I just don't play it as much as I should because I can't put that Tele down, and now I can't put down that Junior. And that brings me to my very last acquisition, something that I've gotten pretty recently within the past month or two, and that is this Chris Shiflett signature Telecaster Deluxe. Now, I wasn't necessarily going after Chris Shiflett, but I wanted a Tele Deluxe. I wanted the wide range humbuckers in a Tele. I wanted the fat headstock. Now, the reason I went with the Chris Shiflett was a couple reasons. It had a mint green pickguard on it. I love to put mint green pickguards on my guitars. but mostly it has the rosewood fretboard and it has the bullet truss rod cover. It does have different pickups in it. I would still like to get maybe a set of the Fender wide range pickups and try those in here, but it does have upgraded saddles. It has locking tuners on it as well, and I do have the original tuners in the case. I also got a hard shell case with this, and I got it for a pretty good price. Now, I will say I'm not bonding with this like I thought I would. The neck's a little slimmer than I would like, so I'm still up in the air if I'm going to keep this one, move this along, or just hang on to it and maybe play it in the future. I don't know yet. It's not a bad guitar. Whoever wired it, though, it was not disclosed in the auction, so I probably should have just sent it back, but I got it for such a price that I could fix it on my own or have it fixed. But it's got some hum to it because whoever wired this, it looks like I wired it, which I did not. It's pretty sloppy in the back. It works. I did fix it a little bit. There was a loose ground, although it was still connected, but it still has a little bit of hum in it. But again, I'm not too concerned because I'm still not sold if I'm going to change out the pickups on this or not. But this was my latest acquisition. Yeah, I like it though. I really like the Tele with the fat headstock on it. It doesn't have the 3-bolt neck plate like the Tele Deluxes do, but you know, I like it enough. It's okay, but I'm just not bonding with it, so I'm still up in the air whether I'm going to keep it. So time will tell with this one. I do have an itch for something else, so I may sell or trade this towards something else in the near future. But yeah, there is where we're at so far with guitars. And the ones that I favor the most does vary, but lately I have been playing that shell pink Tele that I built. I love the neck. It feels great. It sounds great plugged in, at least to me. I mean, someone else might think it sounds like crap. Oh, I did forget to say I did put the Fender Hot Chicken pickups in that thing, so they're not stock pickups, so it's a little hotter than it would have been if it was still stock Mexican Tele. But that's the state of my guitar collection. If you are interested, I can do a little bit deeper dives on each of these guitars, so just drop some comments down below. Maybe tell me which ones you're most interested in, and I can kind of go in order of that. I don't necessarily have to go in chronological order, but I did try to stick to roughly the chronological order of how I acquired each of these. And there were many more over the years. Again, a lot of Strats came through, but I have probably more guitars than I could. I had a Dan Electro. I think I had a Dan Electro DC3. I just popped in my head. Forgot I had that. So I've probably forgotten a lot of guitars that I've actually owned over the years. But you know, addiction, such as guitars, a lot of them come into your life, and a lot of them leave your life. And sometimes it's hard to remember them all. But that's what I got currently. I hope you found a little bit of enjoyment in this video. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment below which guitar you would like to have in your collection. Good night.